Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf, the highly caffeinated Nick Wright. You got Brandon Marshall. Kevin Wilds is happy. He's got his tie. Brandon's got his football. We've got 2 solid hours of show today. So much to get in. The theme today is quarterback play. What's going on? Let's start in Pittsburgh, and we'll tell you what we're talking about. Little Cam, little Brady, little Ben Roethlisberger. Last week, the Steelers were the undefeated darlings of the NFL. Then they lost to Washington. So now they're getting picked apart. That's how it happens, rightfully so. Stalled offense, drop balls, and some shaky play from Big Ben. What happened to that red-hot start from Roethlisberger? Perhaps a little something I like to call age 38. Now a Pittsburgh columnist saying Ben is to blame for the Steelers' predictable, punchless offense. Here is Ben Roethlisberger on what ails this Steelers offense.
Hopefully we can get it fixed. Obviously if I had the answers, we would have, had it fixed by now. But, we believe in our guys, believe in the guys up front and the backs. And sometimes it's on me if it's an RPO and I throw it instead of hand it off. And maybe I should have handed it off, things like that. So we all need to get better, but it's more than just the run game. We need to get better as a group. And like you said, that fluidity comes to staying on the field and converting third downs, and that's on me.
All right, Brandon, so clearly this Steelers offense is having some kind of identity crisis. Yeah. Is that on Ben Roethlisberger?
100%. If the offensive coordinator calls a run play, and you change it and it doesn't work, it's on you. You're the hero if you change the play and you score a touchdown or your offense is efficient. But look, I went back to my Week 6 Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers notes. And one of the things that I saw there was like, look, Ben Roethlisberger's arm doesn't look great. He's not connected on a deep ball. This run game is really efficient and effective right now. They're going over 100 yards a game. The running backs look good. Connor look good. And now all of a sudden, Big Ben's healthy, and now he's trying to, it seems, maybe hijack the Steelers' success and make it about himself. Hopefully he's not doing that. No, but if you are changing the plays, it's all on you. And you can go back to 2010, Nick, when Bruce Arians was there. What happened to Bruce? They didn't bring him back because Big Ben was taking too many sacks, and there was a miscommunication. Some said miscommunication on who's calling runs, who's calling passes. This been a problem.
Brandon, is
going
he
back to
changing
2010.
The Brandon, are you 100%. Hearing that's what he's doing? Because so you're hearing that they are trying to be more balanced, and Big Ben at the line is going rogue. Right? Is that when
you have a quarterback like this, there's two things. You heard Big Ben say RPO. That says run pass option. You get to the line of scrimmage, you can hand the ball off or you can pass it, depending on your keys. Sometimes the quarterback overrides it, but that's on Big Ben. But we're specifically talking about him getting to the line of scrimmage and getting into what he wants. That's an issue if the play isn't working. How do you go, Nick, from running the ball almost 50% of the time in the first 6 weeks to now barely running the ball at all? Like you literally went to the opposite end of the spectrum. And we've been saying this offense just doesn't seem to be clicking. It doesn't seem to be right. This is on Big Ben.
Yeah, and all of this is just so unlike Big Ben, who's never been a me guy.
Here we go.
Who's never been, into the histrionics and the attention and throwing other people under the bus and blaming coordinators, most notably my old buddy and your old wide receivers coach, Todd Haley, for teams' failures. He's always, whether it's the national anthem protest or whether it's his weekly radio show, Big Ben's just always been team, not me. So I'm just personally shocked and somewhat appalled to know that this is happening because it's such a divergence from who he's been. Here's the other problem. This is what the Steelers' offense has been becoming for the better part of a decade. When they were going to 3 Super Bowls, winning 2 of them, it was all about their defense and their running game, with Big Ben doing some vintage Big Ben stuff. You know, 3rd and long, he gets blitzed, he shakes off a pass rusher, a would-be sack, finds a guy downfield. But over the last half-decade plus, they've become a pass-happy team. And that was even when they had Le'Veon Bell, who, while a great pass catcher, was also a great running back. Over the last, 8 years, there's been one season they haven't been below average in run rate. Last year, when they had no quarterback, and they had no choice but to run the football. So Wild's like, this is what Big Ben wants to do. This is the offense he has been pushing for, and when his buddy is the hand-picked offensive coordinator, Randy Finkner, like, that's what's going to happen. And so, yeah, age 38 doesn't look quite as good in the light of December as it did in the light of September, and I think it's a problem for him.
You know what? I agree, and that's why they're on the outside looking in. That's why they're spending most of their time talking about, hey, should we get Trevor Lawrence? What do you think about Justin Fields? Oh, maybe if we played really well next year, we could sneak into the playoffs. Like, yeah, I think it's a big issue, guys. You know, a lot of people say they're not, the first week of the playoffs, they're not even going to be playing. They're going to be at home because, Brandon, they still have the bye. And, Brandon, they're your hometown team that you picked to go to the Super Bowl. So are you abandoning them because Ben Roethlisberger is switching the play at the line? You're like, I'm out. Nick is going to ride with the Chiefs. The Chiefs could somehow score negative points like a fantasy team. And Nick would be like, you know what? Smart play. Smart decision. Only team in the history of the NFL to score negative points. Go ahead. You got to ride with these guys. You can't throw him under the bus just because he's changing up the RPO.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to stick with them. But think about this. Why now is this story coming out? Right after you lose your first game, this story comes out. The Pittsburgh Steelers organization probably planted this, right? Like, they've been waiting for this moment. They've seen this thing happening. You heard Coach Tomlin a couple of weeks ago talk about when they're playing against the Baltimore Ravens, how he wasn't happy and he was upset. You saw his demeanor in that press conference. They were absolutely waiting for this moment to get this team back on track. Look, Big Ben, he cannot sabotage this team's success for his own personal gain. He can't do it. He's feeling good. His arm is feeling better. Now he's trying to sling it around. No, don't do that. You have a great defense and run the ball.
That is right. And Wilds, with respect, this is why simply evaluating teams based purely on their record and having just results-based analysis is so faulty. Because the Steelers, even if they had beaten Washington, they haven't looked really good in nearly 2 months. The last time they looked really good was the first half against the Titans. They had just crushed the Browns. They were up 24-7 in the first half against the Titans. And how did that first half end? With Big Ben taking points off the board, taking a shot into the end zone that gets picked. That second half, the Titans almost come back. Then they almost lose to Dallas. Then Baltimore gives them the run for their money twice, despite the Baltimore quarterback in those 2 games, whether it was RG3 or Lamar, combining for 6 turnovers. Then Washington beats them. The only 2 dominant performances they've had have come against Jake Luton and the Jags and the Bengals. And with a defense as good as they have, if you have a bad quarterback or a young quarterback, you're drawing dead against this team. The offense has to be better, or this much anticipated Chiefs-Steelers matchup we've been talking about all year, we ain't ever going to get to see it because the Steelers aren't going to forget the Super Bowl, to the conference championship game. So 11-1's great, and 11-0 was better, and 13-3 if they finish the season, that'll look really good. But when you look at how they're playing, they've got issues on the offensive side of the ball, and I think the team knows it.
One loss and the whole infrastructure came crumbling down. Let's take a turn to talk some Cam Newton. So much hype with his rebirth in New England, and yet we haven't really seen any of that Cam magic. Cam agrees, but he has an interesting explanation why. We'll share that with you next. First things first.
Bye.